Hi. So originally I was gonna film a review on Avengers Endgame, but then I sat down to write down stuff I wanted to say, and then I realized I want to see the movie one more time because there were definitely things I liked about the movie. Like I don't think it was a horrendous movie. I think it was a very satisfying ending, but I definitely want to see it again and maybe talk about it with my friend more and before I sit down, write out my pros and cons about it. I don't think it's a horrible movie. I've seen people on Tumblr complaining how it was horrendous, things like that, and it really wasn't. It was a decent movie, but I'm gonna film a more in-depth review on it later. So sorry, my neighbors. I heard them. I don't know if this picked it up, so hopefully not. So today I'm gonna talk about something I did. Excuse me. An Instagram story rant about it. It was 5 or 6 little stories about it. Obviously, no one wanted to see that apart from friends and family and people who follow me on Instagram. So I thought, why not make a video on it? I can talk about it more in depth that way. And okay, that thing is the reboot of the Twilight Zone. Now, people who know me in any capacity might not know I am a huge fan of the Twilight Zone. I already love things from that era anyway, and I think every episode's so unique. They've always got great stories. Rod Serling's a fantastic narrator, and these episodes really make you think. And that's not something you get with a lot of things nowadays, and I love watching some of the ones like The Monsters on Maple Street or Death's Head Revisited. Those ones in particular are very good episodes. And The Obsolete Man. Obsolete Man's a good one too. Those are ones I think everyone should see, and you should just watch it because it's a great show, and it's only 5 seasons. Seasons 1, 2, 3, and 5 are on Netflix. I don't know why season 4 is not on there. I don't know why. I really don't. So yeah. So when I heard they were doing a reboot, I was like, they already did one in the 80s. And they've made movies. But I thought, yay, new Twilight Zone. This will be cool. We've come such a long way in special effects technology from the 60s. This will be great. And then I heard it was Jordan Peele doing the writing and directing, or maybe just writing. I don't know. And I have not seen Get Out or Us because I don't like straight up horror. Creepy stuff like Twilight Zone's okay, but straight up horror, not my thing. And I know he was in hot water a couple months ago because he said something about not casting white leads, which I admit I was like, okay, Mr. Identity Politics, I'm not going to finish that sentence. Okay. But I really wanted to like this, so I ignored that. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go in completely blind. We are not going to judge the writer. Separate art from the artist, And oh boy, I really wanted to like this. Y'all have no idea. The whole premise is this struggling comedian who can't seem to keep up the laughs through the whole set. He can't, keep the audience engaged. He can't keep them laughing. Which, okay. And the show opens up with this anti-Second Amendment joke. He's like, the second line says a well-regulated militia. And I'm like, you think we haven't read the Constitution? You think those people haven't read the Constitution? Because, it fits on a mug. There are mugs you can buy that have the whole U.S. Constitution on it. So, I just thought that was, a really cringy joke. And I'm like, okay, it's just a joke. Let's keep going. Maybe this character is cool. No. This particular character, I don't remember the actor's name. I don't remember his name. But this guy, normally when you meet, new characters, you can feel sorry for them, like, right off the gate. You can relate to them in some way, or you feel bad for them, you know? This character he's not keeping the audience constantly laughing, but he's still allowed to keep performing at this club. So obviously he has a semi-steady job. He has a girlfriend who's pretty and successful and nice. And he's living in her apartment. I'm assuming it's hers because she, like, has a real job and, like, could actually pay that money, pay for that apartment, because it's, like, a nice place. And he seems to have it all well and good, and I'm like, well, okay. Is he struggling to pay off debt? What are his likes? What are his dislikes? What makes him tick? Does he have an unsupportive family? Does he have someone he needs to take care of? Why should I care about this person? And the only personality that this man showed through the whole show was like 55-ish minutes. What's your 55 minutes? I will never get back. Sad. His only personality he showed is that he has massive trust issues. He can't make jokes at appropriate times, which I am not one for policing humor. Like, there's a time and place for everything. Dark humor, gross humor, things like that. There is a time and place for it. But he made a Me Too movement joke when the mentor, who was his girlfriend's mentor, who was helping her study in her studies, happened to be a man. It's like, oh, we're going to get Me Too up in here. I'm like, really? So you have trust issues. Great. And he was all around just not a nice person. Like, why should I feel bad for you? Like, even villains, you can feel bad for them. Like Loki, for example. Even though, although some people don't consider Loki a villain, and that's another debate for another time, but he is an antagonist because he causes problems for the main characters, you know? You felt bad for him because you could relate to him. You could put yourself in their shoes and think, wow, I'm also the one ignored by our parents. I'm more of the smart one, the one without the brawn. You know? You could put yourself in his shoes. But this guy, who was just all around not a very kind person to anybody, not even trying. Like, at least Loki redeemed himself in Ragnarok. And I guess you could argue the Dark World, but, like, again, that's a video for another time. I mean, and this other character who we meet, the whole premise of this is he needs to keep the audience laughing, and obviously that would help him keep his job, you know. And, like, they don't really explain how he gets this ability, but the ability is that when he makes a joke about someone he knows personally, that person ceases to exist. It's like they never existed. No one else knows who they are. And, excuse me, he gets this ability by, like, talking to Tracy Morgan. Maybe I'm dumb and I've forgotten, but I don't remember them explaining how he got that. Okay, but, like, how did he get that? I know it's the Twilight Zone, things don't have to make sense, but it's still, like, you could at least give us a little bit. Like, a conversation ain't gonna, whatever. And then there's this girl character who we meet who also, like, runs sets at this club. Her only personality through the whole thing was, I say F-bombs on CBS. I'm gay. Like, that was all of her personality. I kid you not. There was nothing that made me like her. I'm like, okay, you're gay, whatever. Why should I care? Why should I care about you? What are you struggling with? What makes you tick? What are things you like? Do you have an unsupportive family? Why should I feel sorry for you when you're very clearly in a nice, cushy job? And even though they want to portray this comedian as, like, the male comedian as a starving artist, he has, like, decent money and, like, a nice place. Which I guess you could say was the girlfriend's, but still, like, obviously he's got to pay something. Because, like, At least I would hope he'd pay a little rent, but I don't know. And the thing that the original Twilight Zone did so well was it made you think. At the end of every episode, it was like you had that Rod Serling narration come back in, and it made you think. Or like there were morals, and there was like a moral to the story, things like that. This episode ended with like, and he told a joke about himself, and he went away. That was it. Like nothing. There was no lesson to be learned. There was nothing that made you think. And it's like, and if there was a lesson, it was probably like, don't be a douchebag to your friends. And like, I think people know that. It's just, I think what happened is it had the name The Twilight Zone attached to it. People know that name. So people who grew up with it, like my grandparents' age, will be like, oh, The Twilight Zone. Great. Let's watch it. It's coming back. There's people like me who like old things. There's, it has a wide audience. So it has that name. And it also has, in the opening credits, Twilight Zone created by Rod Serling. It has Rod Serling's name attached to it. So I feel like they had the names attached. They had a big company behind them. They were like, whoever was mostly in charge, was like, we have all this name. We don't need to make our characters three-dimensional. We can have them appeal to a very specific niche audience who, I'm going to be real, I can't imagine that specific niche audience you're going to appeal to is going to be watching shows like The Twilight Zone. I could be totally wrong. That's just my opinion. This is all opinion. Don't get butthurt about it. Okay. And to compare it to something, I guess, like something else, something like maybe like an indie film, I would consider like Undrafted, which for all intents and purposes is like an indie film. It had none of the resources, or not nearly as much of the resources that a big studio like CBS would have. It was, in comparison, I'm sure the budgets were way different. Excuse me. And for Undrafted, the director, writer, and producer, all the same person. And that person also starred in it. Not like the main character, but like a side character. The side character was very important, by the way. That person was Joe Mazzello. You know him from Jurassic Park, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Pacific. He's a great actor, and I admire him very much as an actor and as a director. And as a person, I think he's really funny. I think he's really cool. Obviously, like, I know Undrafted is based off a true story, so obviously you're going to care more about that, especially if it's like your siblings' story. But he gave up his director's fee, his paycheck, to put it back into the movie, to put more scenes into the movie. I would, now, I don't know how much it was, probably more than my paychecks ever will be. I would not give up my paycheck for my brother. So, like, I feel like that just shows how much he cared about that story. And it shouldn't make a difference, is what I'm trying to say. It should not make a difference if you have the backing of a major network or it's just you. You should have a likable character is going to get you so much further than a politically correct character. If I had a mic, I'd drop it, but like I don't. So, and with Undrafted, if y'all don't know, quick little synopsis, little clip notes. It's about a baseball team in a summer league that doesn't really matter. It's like these leagues are the ones that the MLB scouts are looking at, and then they get their, you get scouted, there's other steps, obviously, and then you get like your draft card, and then maybe you get drafted into the MLB. One of their friends, Maz, gets his draft card. So the first like 5, 10, 15 minutes of the movie, they're like, Maz set the draft. What have we heard? They're like constantly like asking Pat, have we heard anything? It's like, no, it's the 35th round. I haven't heard a effing thing. I don't swear, so I'm not going to swear. There's a lot of swearing in Undrafted, so if you're offended by it, be careful. Normally, I would be too, but That's how baseball players are. And I know because I've been around baseball players for a long time because I've been dragged to all my brother's games. So I feel like if you're doing it for accuracy's sake, more power to you. And we come to find out he doesn't get drafted. And it's kind of, you're left with that. You put so much work into this dream. What do you do if it doesn't work out? And this whole team has to grow and come together as a team. Sorry, I didn't mean to. This is a sign for married. And like getting married. So I felt weird doing that. Okay. I'm not going to do that again. So they grow so much in an hour and 45 minutes, and I commend Joe Mazzello for making me care more about a baseball team in that short amount of time than I have ever cared about my brother's baseball games. Because I am not a sports person. Like, people make fun of me for liking this movie because I am not a sports person in my life. I've done martial arts, but people don't consider martial arts a sport. And it's technically not. It's like a lifestyle thing. It's like a way of doing it because you have to take like a black belt oath and things like that. But that's another video. If you want me to talk about my martial arts stuff, let me know. So the stark difference between the two blows my mind, and is so interesting to me that you can have all of this great money and backing behind you, but if you don't have a likable or relatable character in any way, shape, or form, then you're not going to go. If you rely on identity politics and a teeny amount of people to like get these jokes, actually think they're funny, then you're going to fall flat. And I'm not saying that Undrafted is a cinematic masterpiece. Star Wars, it is not. But it is a fantastic movie. And I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it, I think it's on Hulu. That's where I watched it the first time. So, in conclusion, a big network and all the money in the world do not matter. Obviously, nowadays, movie budgets get bigger, and that's great. I know that CGI is expensive and things like that. But if your story isn't good, then it doesn't matter how pretty a fake dragon or whatever looks. If you can't relate to anything on screen, then it's going to be hard to do that. Now, I do think I'm of the belief that you can relate to any character